If your faith doesn't move God, it's because it secretly doesn't move you. Hebrews 11 verse 6 isn't poetic encouragement, it's a shocking spiritual warning. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. And that verse exposes something most believers don't want to confront. You can be active in church, consistent in prayer, fluent in scripture, and still be living a faith that God is not pleased with. Because pleasing God is not about religious motion, it's about spiritual trust. And the first hidden problem is that you've replaced faith with control. You pray, but you also plan. You ask God for direction, but still demand your own outcomes. You quote Proverbs 3 verse 5 through 6, while secretly leaning on your own understanding. And that kind of faith doesn't impress heaven because it doesn't require surrender. It only requires comfort. And Hebrews 11 verse 6 exposes that real faith is not belief in God's existence. It's confidence in God's character, because the verse says, you must believe that He is and that He rewards those who seek Him. Not those who manage Him, not those who negotiate with Him, not those who follow Him when it's convenient, but those who seek Him, meaning hunger, dependence, obedience, and risk. And that leads to the second warning. You believe God is real, but you don't believe He's good. Not really. Not in your hidden thoughts, not in your private fears, not in your anxiety-filled decisions. Because if you truly believed He was good, you wouldn't panic when things fall apart. You wouldn't manipulate outcomes. You wouldn't live in survival mode, and you wouldn't need constant reassurance. Because real faith rests while the storm still rages. Like Jesus sleeping in the boat while the disciples panic. Mark 4, verse 38. And that contrast exposes the truth. You may love God, but you don't trust Him, and love without trust produces religious activity, not spiritual power, which is why Romans 14, verse 23 says, whatever is not of faith is sin, meaning even good actions become empty when they aren't rooted in trust. And the third hidden issue is that your faith is conditional. You trust God when the prayers are answered, but doubt Him when they're delayed. You worship Him in blessing, but question Him in silence. You declare Romans 8, verse 28, but emotionally live like chaos is winning, and conditional faith never pleases God because it turns Him into a transaction instead of a father. And that's not relationship, that's religion. And the fourth exposure from Hebrews 11 verse 6 is that real faith always moves you toward God, not just toward outcomes, because many people seek miracles, breakthroughs, provision, protection, healing, clarity, but they don't seek God, and that's the difference. Because faith that pleases God is God-centered, not blessing-centered, presence-centered, not promise-centered, relationship-centered, not reward-centered. And this is why Jesus said in Matthew 6, verse 33, to seek first the kingdom. Not the comfort, not the success, not the security, not the image, not the approval, but the kingdom. Because when God becomes the prize instead of the tool, your faith shifts from performance to surrender. And here's the deepest revelation. Faith that pleases God always costs you something, because it forces you to let go of control. Identity, reputation, timelines, and outcomes, just like Abraham in Genesis 22. Just like Noah in Genesis 6, just like Moses in Hebrews 11, just like the woman with the issue of blood in Mark 5. They didn't just believe, they risked, they moved, they obeyed, they stepped without guarantees. And that's the faith heaven responds to. Because God isn't moved by safe belief, He's moved by surrendered trust. And if your faith doesn't change how you live, how you decide, how you respond, how you wait, how you obey, and how you endure, then it's not faith, it's agreement. And agreement doesn't please God, dependence does. Obedience does, surrender does, trust does. And the final truth is this: God is not looking for perfect faith. He's looking for real faith, not loud faith, not emotional faith, not public faith, but obedient faith, hidden faith, quiet faith, consistent faith. the kind that trusts Him in silence, follows Him without applause, obeys Him without clarity, and seeks Him without conditions. Because faith that pleases God doesn't need proof before obedience. It doesn't need answers before surrender, and it doesn't need comfort before trust. And until your faith becomes rooted in who God is instead of what God gives, it will never please Him. No matter how spiritual it looks, because Hebrews 11 verse 6 doesn't reward religious effort. It rewards surrendered trust, and the moment you stop using God as a solution and start serving Him as Lord is the moment your faith finally becomes pleasing in heaven.